There's a magic that whispers from the peaks of the Alps, a quiet invitation that stirs the soul and beckons the restless heart. The first light of dawn paints the mountains in hues of gold and rose, and for a moment the world feels untouched, ancient, and full of promise. It's a promise of something ancient and profound, a sense that these mountains have witnessed centuries of stories, secrets, and dreams. The mist drifts through the trees, sunlight dappling the forest floor, and you can almost hear the echoes of those who came before. Explorers, wanderers, and seekers of solitude. For years, I dreamt of these mountains, captivated by their silent beauty and the escape they offered from modern life. In my mind, the Alps were a sanctuary, a place where the noise of the world faded and only the rhythm of nature remained. I imagined myself standing on a ridge, wind in my hair, gazing out over endless valleys and feeling utterly free. When I finally rented a secluded Swiss cabin for a week, it felt like answering a call, not just booking a holiday. It was as if the mountains themselves had been waiting for me, offering a refuge where I could reconnect with myself and the world around me. The plan was simple: disconnect, breathe, and just be. No emails, no deadlines, no constant buzz of notifications, just the sound of the wind in the pines, the crackle of the fire, and the slow, steady rhythm of my own heartbeat. I wanted to savor every moment, to let the peace of the mountains seep into my bones. Each morning, I'd wake to the scent of pine and the promise of adventure. I'd sip coffee on the porch, journal in hand, watching the mist lift from the valley below. The mountains seemed to breathe with me, their presence both grounding and inspiring. The journey up, by train, then a rattling mountain railway, felt like shedding the city's skin, each mile drawing me closer to another world. The landscape changed with every turn, cityscapes giving way to rolling hills, then to towering peaks and deep, shadowed forests. With every ascent, I felt lighter, as if the weight of daily life was falling away behind me. At last, I arrived. A sturdy wooden cabin, smoke curling from the chimney, nestled among pines and silent giants. The air was crisp and clean, carrying the scent of wood smoke and snow. It was everything I'd hoped for, a place where time seemed to slow and the outside world faded into the background. Luggage in hand, I felt a deep peace wash over me. The worries and stresses I'd carried for so long seemed to dissolve in the cool mountain air. I stood for a moment, simply breathing, letting the silence settle around me like a warm blanket. My Alpine adventure was about to begin, and I knew that in this place of towering peaks and endless sky, I would find not just escape, but a sense of belonging, a homecoming to the wild, beautiful heart of the mountains. Stepping into the cabin was like entering a warm, woody embrace. The air inside was fragrant with pine and the gentle perfume of a crackling fire. I unpacked, filled the kettle with mountain water, and stepped onto the balcony. The cold, clean air was a revelation, so pure it seemed to sweep my mind clear. With a hot cup of tea, I watched the sunset, the peaks glowing gold, the silence profound. No screens, no distractions, just the greatest show on earth. As night fell, the stars blazed brighter than I'd ever seen, a dazzling canopy above. I fell asleep to the deep silence of the mountains, more peaceful than I'd felt in years. The cabin was already working its quiet magic. I woke to soft morning light and a gentle symphony, birds, wind, and the earth itself breathing. No alarms, no digital noise, just the natural world. My morning was simple, rekindling the fire, porridge with local honey, and the view as my only entertainment. Later, I wandered into the pine forest, sunlight dappling the mossy floor, the air rich with earth and resin. Each step was a meditation. Every small discovery, a patch of wild strawberries, a woodpecker's rhythm, felt significant. These fleeting moments reminded me of the beauty in slowing down. I returned to the cabin with rosy cheeks and a clear mind. The day had been empty of everything but peace. Here, simplicity was a gift. I felt content in a way I hadn't in years. Day 3 dawned with a sense of promise and excitement. The sky was a flawless blue, the kind that makes every color seem more vivid, and the air was so crisp it felt like breathing in pure energy. I knew today would be special, a day for adventure, for pushing myself, and for discovering what lay beyond the familiar. My plan was ambitious, a challenging hike to a distant ridge that had called to me since I first glimpsed it from the valley below. I carefully packed my bag with a thermos of hot tea, a hearty sandwich, and a few treats for the journey. Setting off, I felt the anticipation build with every step. The trail began in the shelter of a dense pine forest, the ground soft with needles and the air filled with the scent of resin. As I climbed higher, the trees thinned and sunlight streamed through, revealing a world of open alpine meadows dotted with wildflowers and the distant sound of rushing water. The landscape shifted dramatically as I gained elevation. The valley below unfurled like a living tapestry, its green slopes interrupted by rocky outcrops and the white ribbons of waterfalls tumbling down sheer cliffs. Each turn in the path offered a new perspective, a fresh sense of wonder. The sound of the waterfalls echoed up to me, mingling with the calls of distant birds and the whisper of the wind. After hours of steady climbing, I finally reached the ridge. The world seemed to open up in every direction. I stood breathless, not just from the effort, but from the sheer scale of the view. Endless peaks stretching to the horizon, their snow-capped summits gleaming in the sunlight. The silence was immense, broken only by the occasional gust of wind. In that moment, I felt both incredibly small and deeply connected to everything around me. I found a sun-warmed rock and settled down for lunch, unwrapping my sandwich and pouring tea as if I were dining in the world's grandest room. The taste of simple food, eaten in such a setting, was unforgettable. I lingered, savoring every bite and every view, letting the peace of the mountains seep into me. The climb had been demanding, but it worked a kind of magic on my mind. With each step, the noise of daily worries faded away, replaced by the simple, grounding focus of moving forward, one foot after another. The rhythm of my breath and the crunch of gravel under my boots became a meditation, clearing space for new thoughts and quiet reflection. The mountain demanded my full attention, asking me to be present in every moment. In return, it offered clarity, a sense of purpose and perspective that's hard to find anywhere else. Standing there, I felt a deep gratitude for the challenge and for the beauty that surrounded me. As the sun began to dip behind the peaks, I made my way back down, my muscles aching but my spirit light. That evening, as I stretched out near the mountain cabin, I felt a profound peace settle over me, a sense of accomplishment and contentment that only comes from meeting the mountain on its own terms. The mountain had shared its majesty with me, revealing both its grandeur and its quiet moments. I was humbled by its scale, its beauty, and the way it made me feel both insignificant and infinite at the same time. That night, I slept deeply, wrapped in the comfort of the mountains, grateful for the challenge, the views, and the memories I would carry with me long after I left this place. I woke to a world transformed. Overnight, a blizzard had swept in, erasing the familiar outlines of the mountains and blanketing everything in a thick, swirling white. The view from my window was unrecognizable, the landscape outside lost to a curtain of snowflakes dancing wildly in the wind. It was as if nature had decided to hit pause, wrapping the world in silence and softness. My plans for the day, hiking, exploring, venturing out, were instantly changed. But instead of disappointment, I felt a deep sense of contentment settle over me. There was nowhere to go, nothing urgent to do, and for once, that felt like a blessing. Snowed in, the cabin became my entire universe, a small island of warmth and light in a sea of white. The outside world faded away, leaving only the gentle hush of falling snow and the comforting creaks of the old wooden beams. I stoked the fire, watching the flames flicker and dance, grateful for the simple luxury of warmth. The crackle of burning logs became my soundtrack, a reminder of the shelter I'd found from the storm. Wrapped in a soft blanket, I curled up with a novel, letting the words transport me to other worlds while the storm raged on outside. A mug of hot tea steamed gently in my hands, its warmth seeping into my fingers. The hours drifted by slowly, each moment stretching out, unhurried and peaceful. I watched the snow pile higher, mesmerized by the ever-changing patterns on the window pane. The blizzard outside was a powerful reminder of nature's might and unpredictability, a force that could change plans in an instant and demand respect. Yet, inside, I felt the deep comfort of shelter, a sense of safety and gratitude for the sturdy walls that kept the cold at bay. I watched the storm's wild dance from the kitchen, chopping vegetables and simmering a slow stew on the stove. The aroma filled the cabin, mingling with the scent of wood smoke and snow. I found unexpected joy in simple tasks, setting the table, folding a blanket, tidying up, each one grounding me in the present moment. The enforced pause was a rare gift, a chance to slow down and savor the quiet. I realized how seldom I allowed myself to truly rest. I spent the day reading, sipping tea, and gazing out at the endless snowfall, letting my thoughts wander and my mind unwind. There was a quiet magic in simply watching the snow fall, each flake unique, each moment fleeting and beautiful. As dusk settled and the storm finally began to ease, a deep peace washed over me. The world outside was still wild and untamed. The trees bowed under the weight of snow, the wind whispering through the branches. But inside, the cabin glowed with warmth and calm, a sanctuary from the storm. In that stillness, I realized how much I needed this pause. A day to simply be, to find contentment in the present, and to let the cabin's quiet magic deepen around me. The morning after the blizzard was dazzling, sunlight on fresh snow, the world reborn. I rushed outside, the first to make tracks in the powder, feeling like a pioneer. Hours passed as I wandered, the silence absolute, the beauty sacred. My path led to a tiny hamlet and a family-run cheese dairy. With smiles and gestures, I tasted Alpine cheese and left with a wedge and homemade jam. That small encounter was a reminder of human warmth in remote places. Back at the cabin, I savored the cheese by the fire. It tasted of mountains and tradition. The day was a perfect blend of natural wonder and local connection. I felt at home in this wild, welcoming place. The mountains had given me another gift. My final full day arrived, tinged with melancholy. I spent it close to the cabin, soaking in every detail: the light, the scent of pine, the distant cowbells. Reflection filled the afternoon, gratitude for each unique day. That evening, the mountains offered a farewell, a sunset of fiery color, the peaks glowing as if lit from within. I stood on the balcony, heart full, not needing a camera. Later, under a sky ablaze with stars and the Milky Way, I felt both sadness and joy. The week had been magical, a gift I would carry with me. The Alps had said goodbye in their own spectacular way. I was changed. Departure morning was heavy with finality. I watched one last sunrise, performed my rituals, and packed slowly, each action a farewell. The cabin had become a companion, a silent witness to my week of discovery. Cleaning up felt like an act of gratitude, leaving the space ready for the next guest. I wrote a heartfelt entry in the guest book, then took one last look around. Locking the door was like closing a beloved book. The journey down the mountain reversed my arrival, the peaks receding, the world returning. I left with a sense of loss, but also fullness. The mountains had changed me. Their presence would remain long after I was gone. Returning to daily life was a shock, the noise and speed jarring after Alpine peace. Yet I carried the mountain's silence within me, a resource to draw on. The trip taught me the value of simplicity, slowness, and just being. Small acts, making tea, watching the fire, became profound sources of happiness. The journey stripped away the non-essential, revealing what truly matters: nature, reflection, and a cozy shelter. The memories are now a touchstone, vivid, sensory, and strengthening. The mountains changed me, deepening my appreciation for wild places and quiet moments. I hope this story brings you a little Alpine magic and inspires you to seek your own place of tranquility.